Today is Saturday, July 15th, and we're listening to Matthew chapter 17, verses 24 through 27, about the temple tax. After Jesus and his disciples arrived in Capernaum, the collectors of the 2 drachma temple tax came to Peter and asked, "Doesn't your teacher pay the temple tax?" "Yes, he does," he replied. When Peter came into the house, Jesus was the first to speak. "What do you think, Simon?" he asked. "From whom do the kings of the earth collect duty and taxes? From their own children or from others?" "From others," Peter answered. "Then the children are exempt," Jesus said to him. "But so that we may not cause offense, go to the lake and throw out your line. Take the first fish you catch, open its mouth, and you will find a 4 drachma coin. Take it and give it to them for my tax and yours." Notice what Jesus does here. He meets the demands of earthly living with supernatural provision. Doesn't he do that in our lives today? It's amazing how Jesus knows just what we need and provides for us in the midst of our expectations, towering expectations, and impossible circumstances. He knows that we can live in such a way that we don't have to worry about anyone or anything because of all that he's provided. Instead, however, we have the privilege and the opportunity to care for others and to extend the same care that God has given us to those around us, of bearing with one another, of taking each other's burdens up and lightening one another's loads. It's amazing to me to know how often Jesus keeps the peace when he could be stirring the pot. He's baptized, for example, in order to fulfill all righteousness. He tells his followers to give to Caesar what is Caesar and to God what is God's. And here we hear him encouraging his disciples to pay their taxes and his too, and that he does this in terms that are familiar to them along with their line of work and their vocation. Jesus invites us into the same space of supernatural provision in our daily work and circumstances. He gives us double what we need and invites us to use what we have to care for others out of this abundant portion and provision. So let's take the opportunity today to be blessed and to be a blessing for someone in a time of need, knowing that God has already provided plenty for all of our needs. And again, if you're following the bulletin, which has listed for today's daily reading Matthew chapter 7, verses 24 through 27, I believe in that phrase, there are no accidents, there are no coincidences, and it's really interesting because you're actually 2 weeks ahead of schedule, as this is the exact sermon text that we'll be hearing. On Sunday, July 23rd, Reverend Dr. Victor Scalisi will be bringing us a message on this very passage, Matthew 7, 24 through 27. So I don't want to steal all of Dr. Scalisi's thunder, but the last 3 days were a neat little coincidence of Matthew 17 and Matthew 7, from Dr. Wood's message in the past to Dr. Scalisi's message in the future that he'll be bringing to us soon. I hope you have a blessed weekend, and I'm grateful for your diligence and study, and I invite you into a time of prayerful consideration of how we can faithfully and abundantly provide for needs around us in worshiping our great and loving God.